We're back, baby.
Yeah.
All right. We are officially on YouTube.
Yes.
You can see us visually along with hearing us. Welcome to all Brad's faces along the journey.
Yeah. I mean, yours too.
I never
Your non-faces.
Oh, yes. That's more of what that is.
Yeah.
Where Brad's asking me, like, what do you think about this? And I don't respond with my face fast enough. So, yes, if you are not watching on YouTube, you're missing out. Come over there and subscribe. And as always, we want to start with a review from one of you. So this one is from Ella Renee. It says, a beacon of hope and healing. Unrelenting Pursuit is more than just a marriage podcast. It's a testament to the incredible power of love, faith, and forgiveness. What sets Unrelenting Pursuit apart is the authenticity of Brad and Lisa. They don't shy away from their own painful experiences, but instead, they share their journey of healing and redemption with unwavering honesty. Their story is a testament of transformation and the profound impact of faith. This podcast dives deep into topics like infidelity, addictions, and the complexities of rekindling the spark in a damaged relationship. But what truly stands out is their unwavering commitment to bringing Jesus into the center of their discussions. Brad and Lisa are not just a couple with a podcast, but genuine mentors who share practical insights and strategies for rebuilding trust, reigniting passion, and sustaining a Christ-centered relationship. By the way, this review, I'm like, she like straight up, like, you used to write things for us. Like,
I was thinking the same thing.
Girlfriend is like on fire.
I was like, she's like the hype.
Yeah.
Like,
she got into AI and made this review. Like, that's how I feel. Like, it's just like.
You think that she chat GPT'd that?
No, I don't.
I know, exactly. I know, I can't believe you said that.
That's how good it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a legit review, but it's like.
That means a lot.
It's hyping me up.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like the hype man.
Rah, rah, rah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So.
I'm like, yeah.
Their episodes are raw and unedited. It's filled with wisdom that is both biblically grounded and relatable. And I can't even focus. Let's see, where am I at? Unrelenting Pursuit is a source of comfort and advice for those walking through the darkest chapters of their relationships. It's a beacon of hope for anyone seeking to heal and strengthen their marriage through faith, commitment, and unconditional love. Highly recommended for anyone who believes in the power of redemption and the importance of bringing Jesus into their marriage. Yeah. Boom. And that's it, folks. We're done.
I know.
For the day. That's all we need.
No, for real though. That's like the drum line, right? You know, like the quad. I don't know what they're called. That's like the quad drums that they have, you know, and they're.
See, this is why you need to be on YouTube, because you will then see all of Brad's
what I'm saying is
that he had for the drums.
There's like the quad drums before the game. Right, so we would be like,
oh, okay, building up the anticipation.
Yeah, we'd be like warming up in the end zone, and the quad drums would come over, and it just hypes you up. That's what I feel with that.
Okay,
I'm like, let's do this. Yeah, let's go. What are we talking about today?
Well, we are talking. Now I have to like bring it back down.
All right. Well, before, if you are watching this, Lisa's got this dope hat on. That hat does not look good on me. Or
Baby,
I have
everything looks good on you.
To you. But no, I put that on and you even looked at me like, no, that ain't a hat for you. You looked at me like that.
Listen, I'm always trying to get Brad to wear certain hats that I just feel are going to be epic on him.
Shit, no,
like,
the only one
on YouTube, if you look at his face right now, can't you just see him with the, what is it called? The little, is it not fedora?
No.
I can't think of
it's is it a baller hat?
You're a baller, baby.
No. Now I don't know what it's called either. It's the Irish hat that snaps in the front.
You look like you should have one of those hats on all the time.
Listen, everyone, listen to me. Every time we go to a store and they have those hats on, she brings me over. She's like, try this. She'll pick the color. Like, try this on. Please try this on. And I try it on, and then she just busts out laughing. Then I take it off, and I put it and I walk away. And I'm like, she literally just does this to.
I expected to look good on you. I look at you, and I'm just like, this is it. This is gonna complete the look. Like, you should wear this all the time because it's just like a statement. But then no, like it just doesn't work.
Anyway, what I was getting at was, like, we'll have those, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could, and I don't know what you're.
Oh no, I didn't make the right.
But we'll have those, so you guys will be able to get on and like do the thing.
Yeah, we're working on the merch. We're doing one thing at a time, guys. And we finally got up on YouTube. You know, we're working on the merch side of things. You guys have been reaching out to us. We're doing our best in real life and trying to balance it with ministry for sure. But no, we wanted to talk about this because we have an app, and if you've been listening for a long time, now if you're watching, we have talked about them a few times because they've been really helpful to us. As far as just understanding the Word of God in a better way. And we're always getting questions about this. We're always getting people asking us, like, okay, what's a good plan that we can go through?
Where do you start?
Where do we start? You know, how are we supposed to, you know, what's something that we can do together? And we've gotten the question enough times that we wanted to actually dive into it a little bit more, because not only do we think that this app in particular is so helpful, and the plans that they have, but just in particular, this particular plan, we want to encourage everyone to go through with your spouse. And I think it's one of those things that for you and I, this has been the pivotal place that we have truly seen transformation in our marriage, is getting into God's Word.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're passionate about it. Like, we want you guys to pursue your own individual relationship with Christ. And in doing so, you are growing in your marriage, because God transforms. And when we invite him into all the areas, you just get to see that lived out. And so this has been a tool that we have used and we love. So Through the Word is who we're talking about. I know it's Chris Langham, I think is how you pronounce his last name, is the founder of this. And he is just passionate about taking people through the Word.
Like, we love this so much that literally, if you know him, like, I want him on the pod.
Oh, okay.
Like, I would love, no, I was seriously, I would love to have, because most of my devotions do go through the Word, but also I did a manhood devotion thing. I thought it was great. Really, really good the way he broke it down. And then this marriage talk one that we're going to go over is like, all the points are just spot on. And so getting back real quick, well, also we're not sponsored by Through the Word. So just like, we're plugging them hard, but it's not like, oh, they must just be throwing money at these people. No, not at all. But
or Stanley. We're also not.
But this is a great resource. But I'll say this is a great resource, but it's not translating the Bible.
No.
And so I heard someone say that one time, that was like, oh, well, they're just translating the Bible, you know, in a different way. And it's like, no, that's not at all what they're doing. They're explaining it. And they're taking the same, what you're reading, whatever, you know, NIV, ESV, whatever it is, but they're taking the same language and they're saying it goes like this.
Yeah.
You know,
they really paint a full picture, I think,
from
all the way weaving through the Old Testament to the New Testament, and how one reflects and one points back to the other. And I think that's really beautiful. And it's really opened up both of our eyes to the total picture of Scripture in a new way, which I just think is awesome. But specifically, it's Through the Word Marriage Talks. I will put this link in the note so you guys can start off. There's several plans within this particular marriage talks. Like, they have part 1, part 2, part 3. I know on the Through the Word app, they have that there, and you can also do it on YouVersion if you have that downloaded. On the Through the Word app, they actually do have the opportunity to do an audio. Like, you can actually have your spouse do it with you, and you can do a little audio at the end of what you thought about it. And I know it seems awkward at first, but I've actually been doing this with several friends in another plan, and it's actually kind of a beautiful thing to get a chance to hear what you think about it after you've done it. And there's a lot of questions that this particular plan takes you through.
The marriage talks?
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of talk to you. There's a
Here we go. If you've been listening, if you've been following us, listen, she does this to me, and I don't know what questions. This is like,
that's not a question. I'm just saying, I'm going to come
this
to
is
you
like
as
the
your
real
wife.
interview.
This is the what interview?
The real interview. Like, I know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what you're going to come at me with.
If you guys have followed us for any period of time, you know we don't edit. And so, yeah, Brad just gets, you know, he's over here unsuspecting. And I just like to throw things at him, like the hat. Like, just try on this hat for me. And he does.
I do it every time. I don't know what I'm expecting.
I'm confident. Anyways, okay. So they gave several things specifically for men and for women that in their experience, they have seen really matter. And we felt like it lined up perfectly with what we've also seen. And so I just kind of want to talk about the points, but I want to get your perspective on it as obviously a husband, man, leader. And, so we're just going to go through it. So I'm going to say the 6 things and then we'll break them down. How's that? Okay. So the 6 things that in this Through the Word Marriage talks that they said specifically for men is very important to have from their wife.
Okay.
Let him lead. Communicate trust. Support his decisions, which we'll break this down a little bit because that sounds kind of similar. Appreciate him. Praise his accomplishments. Have his back and cheer in his corner. So for you, we went through these and we want to challenge people to go through this because you actually get the opportunity to look at those things and rank like what I thought you were going to choose and what you chose as the most important thing to you. And this really was kind of shocking to me, the things that you chose as the most important. I don't know if you remember which ones you chose. You're giving me, see, now we on YouTube.
Yeah,
now people can see your quizzical looks that you
that is there's emotion behind it though.
Oh, okay.
Your looks, there's nothing. There's no, and so I have a hard time with that because I'm like, maybe I'm going off left field. If you listened last week, maybe I wasn't a good dad. Now I'm questioning everything because there's no emotion. Mine are emotional. I'm trying to remember how I ranked them, but I don't remember. But let's just do it.
Okay.
I'm down.
So let him lead. As their description of it was, when you follow and trust his leadership, he feels strong. How do you feel like that lands? Do you feel like that's like a high ranking of importance in your own life or for men in general? How does this play out?
No, I think it is. It is high. What's the scale?
1 to 6.
So you have to, okay. I get it now. That's hard. I don't know where that one would fall.
And I think it's different for different people.
It is different for the different, but we're, as men, right? Biblically, we're called to lead our family, right? And I talked about this last week too, but it's servant leadership. It's not dictatorship, right? And so we're called to lead our family. So I would rank that. I'm trying to think of 1 to 6. One being the lowest.
No, one is highest.
Okay.
Like number 1
so
priority.
So rank 1, 2. Well, there's only one priority.
Like okay.
We can't have priorities. That makes no sense. It does. Definition of priority. It makes no sense to have plural. I don't know why America does that. So, okay. So let him, and it was, if you let him lead, I feel stronger.
When you follow and trust his leadership, he feels
stronger. And I take that as more capable. That's how I interpret that for me.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say that, and I can't remember the others right now. I can change. It's fine. I would say
this
that
is solid. It's like out there.
I would say this is a 1, and I want to
like. I need a caveat.
Yeah, I need a caveat this because I really feel like you need to understand this is servant leadership.
Yep.
This isn't
dominating.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever past hurts you have, not you. Yeah. But like, as people listening, whatever past hurts you have, whatever relationships you've been in, like, we're not talking about dominant leadership, dictatorship, nothing like that. This is the perfect example. How did Jesus lead? Yeah. That's how we should lead, right?
And when you lead like that, then as a wife called to submit, you actually want to submit to absolutely. That kind of
So for
leadership.
me, I think it would be a 1.
Okay.
Because if you're supporting me in that, then I feel more capable and I'm able to step into that role more. Other than, I don't know if you've ever worked where there's like 2 co-leaders. A lot of times it doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's problems that always always arise. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last week of the whole leadership aspect and how important that is, and also how twisted it can become when we try to step into roles that we're not called to biblically, or someone doesn't step into a role that you're called to biblically, and it ends up creating things within your home that you actually don't want to be there. But when you have people in roles that they're not supposed to be, it's difficult to release it and to step into it.
Yeah, because a lot of women want their husband to lead. Am I not mistaken?
I would say most women. Well, I would give this caveat. Christian women that I know specifically, I would say that 99% of them are wanting their husbands to lead. And I really do feel like this is a really big issue in general, because I feel like a lot of women don't feel like their husbands actually lead their home.
That's what I'm saying. They're like big kids, right? Like their wife is basically like a mom to, and you'll even hear people say that, like, oh, I have 3 kids. Because my husband.
They don't joke around like that. That's demeaning.
It's super
just
demeaning.
FYI.
Yeah.
Like this all does go into, like, if you do want your husband to lead, you do have to call out leadership in your husband. And so it's not that your husband is always going to be what you think he should lead like. And I think that needs to be emphasized, because I think as women, what we have a tendency to do is we have a definition of leadership in our mind. Now, we want you to fulfill that definition when we want you to fulfill that.
Yeah.
When we don't, we don't. And so this is the mistake that we often make, is that we're just like, okay, well, you need to lead like I want you to lead. And then also if I'm trying to do something, like, get out of my way. And then we actually don't call someone towards
exactly
what can be.
When you say definition of leadership you have in your head, you're a picture person. Right? Like you have the little elves that are digging trenches.
Never said elves. Ever.
That's what I picture when you talk about that. But so what I picture, I'm asking you, what do you picture me, right, in your definition of leader? I'm picturing
fedora, obviously.
It's not a fedora, first of all. But I'm picturing like that you're picturing me like on a horse, right? Like
with furs,
clearly,
like a Viking,
with furs,
obviously,
on my beard, and just kind of like, that's what I picture.
That is 100%.
It is okay, cool. All right, moving on. I just wanted to make sure.
That's all you need to do. Anyways, okay, communicate trust. So tell him you believe in him, his calling, and his ability, which I think this does play into let him lead.
No, it does, and. So if you're thinking right now, well, my husband, or if you're a dude, you're listening, like, I don't have a calling. Everyone has a calling, right? Like everyone has purpose on this earth. Ultimately, your purpose on this earth, if you're a Christ follower, it's the Great Commission. Right?
Go therefore, make disciples.
Spread the gospel, make disciples. That share, right? That's your ultimate. And then also, if you're married, like your calling is your family. Like you have That's what did we not family ministry first. What did we say?
Faith, family. I don't know where you're going.
There was a thing, like it was like first ministry is family or something like that. We used to say. We've said it.
I like it. We'll just say
way back.
Your first ministry is your family.
It is.
Yeah.
100%.
I like how I said that back to you in like the exact same way. And you're like, yes.
You're following most of this point. Most of these points you're following while we're talking. You realize that, like, as you're going through, like you're doing this, you don't even know it. Anyway, so I like that you're calling. You said basically like to support.
Yeah, tell him you believe in him, his calling, and his ability.
Yeah, and ability.
Yeah.
So I had a coach. I have a story.
Ooh, okay.
I have a story. I know we talked about
Bring
this,
it,
and I was like, "Oh man, here we go."
Buckle up.
So I had the opportunity to play football in college. I thought I was a stud. I wasn't.
He did think he was a stud, just FYI. When I saw this man walking around, I was like, okay.
Did I not get to marry you? Okay, I'm just saying that. But
okay.
Anyway.
He wins.
So, but no, when I had this opportunity to play college football, and not any big school, so, whatever you guys are thinking. But I had this one coach, and what I saw, the way that he coached, he wasn't the head coach. The head coach was great. All the coaches were great. but the linebacker coach, what I saw from him was he believed your ability before you did. And what that did to us, that made us play a level probably above what we felt capable to play.
Yeah. It closed the gap.
And that is huge. And it followed me for years. It's followed me to this day, but it's also followed me even on the teams where I believe in the abilities that we're capable of doing. And what happens is you see everyone not rise to the occasion, because that's totally different. Like, you're only going to rise to a certain level that you've prepared for. You're not going to be Rambo when something goes down if you've never been Rambo, right? Like, you know,
That's
I'm
what
an
I
80s.
picture with the leader. Like,
Yeah, see, I told you, right? But I'm on a bear now. So, riding a bear, right? But no. So what I'm saying though is that, like, you trusting in me and speaking that into me and supporting that into me and my ability, there's times I know I don't feel like I'm capable of this point, but because of you, I'm playing up. And then you realize, no, I am able to do this. I can do this. Like, I'm not doing this on my own. Like, caveat, none of this is on my own. This is all with my priority being in my walk with Christ, but I'm able to move up, you know? And so, but without your support in that point that you made, I don't know where I'd be floundering, because if I didn't have you there saying that, you know, you don't physically say it or, you know, literally, but if I don't have you there, like, no, you can do this.
I think, like, you know, you talk a lot about, you know, battling insecurities and as men battling insecurities and, you know, but I think like what it comes to my mind is, I know, like, even before we speak or we're preparing to speak, I tell you over and over, because I unequivocally believe this, like, you are so anointed. Like, you are so anointed for this. Like, I need you to know, like, you're anointed. Like, when you start to speak, like, I see the anointing of God on you. And I know that you don't, like, it's hard for you to believe that in that moment, but you step into it. And I've seen that, like, over and over and over in you. And I think, like, that is what comes to my mind when I think of believing in your ability and your calling. And I love how you said, like, so you play up to that. Like, where are you stopping that for your spouse? You know, like,
Absolutely.
you've only,
because I've seen it the other way. I've
like,
been
we're playing down.
I mean, I've played, to play in college, I played for years, right? I thought I was going to go to the league. Everyone thinks they're going to go to the league. So I was like, here we go.
NFL.
But I played for years, and I was under coaches that weren't like that. And what you would see is the talent at that level. There was always a huge disparity. There's always going to be disparity, because there are guys that are going to the league, right? And they're always, but you can see a smaller disparity when you have a coach that believes in the ability, because he's giving you the knowledge and now he's helping you push to that, right? And so you could see people play to that versus the other people that I've played under where they didn't do that. And you had the guys that weren't, you know, they might have been able to fill that gap, but because the coach didn't believe in anything they could do, they ended up, like, you know, if you're looking at my hands, they ended up, like, going further and further and further away from the group because the coach never believed in them. So it was like, whatever.
Right.
And that's a horrible thing to think about, even with a coach, but imagine that in your marriage.
Yeah.
And we see it a lot with all the couples we have the opportunity to help. We see it where the wife does not hit any of those points. And what you see is a husband that walks around like a beat dog. And then he owns that. He doesn't own, like, trying to link arms like the last episode. He doesn't own anything else. He owns, oh, I clearly can't do anything right. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't even think I could do anything right. And every time I do something, she says this and this. So I'm just, here's my role now. And it's a horrible place.
Yeah, we are defining roles all the time in marriage without saying anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for someone to recognize. Like, you're defining something by the way that you act, by the way that you respond. You guys are doing things subliminally. There we go.
You
That's
did
the
it.
full
You did
word.
it.
Boom. And not even realizing it. It's important that you pay attention to it.
So that rank,
yeah, give me the ranking.
I already did one, right?
Yeah. And I feel like you're going to change all of these when you look at the list again. You're like, this is my new number one, and then the other one is number 2.
What if I did like 1.2?
No, that doesn't.
Okay.
No. Like, that doesn't even make
So
sense.
1. Yeah, for me, this is 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go in order here.
Well, no.
Seems like the easy way
I
out.
feel like you're saying that I'm not capable of ranking this out of order. Interesting.
You're not calling me to my ability. Thank you. No, this next one, I think when you initially hear just this first highlighted portion, you think, oh, but I think this is actually a hard one because it says support his decisions even when you disagree. You should voice your opinion. And I think that's important to remember because I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be submissive, and that just means I don't have a voice. And that's that's not biblical either. And he should listen, but when he decides, support him. He already doubts himself. Let your voice be the one that believes in him.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like just say, yeah.
I mean, it said it all right there. No. So if you're doing the first one as a man, well, this is for women to help men, right?
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Right. A wife can actually support her husband.
But if the first 2 are in line, then this decisions that you're making on this level, the disagreement should be very minimal, right? It shouldn't, I don't feel like it'll be this drastic, like I'm trying to think of so I don't feel like it'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm quitting my job tomorrow. We're selling the house and we're moving. And then you're like, wait, what?
Hold up.
No, we're not doing any of that. First of all, like that would be that disagreement, right? But if you're doing the first 2 right, then me coming home and saying there's already been steps leading that way.
Yeah. And also you wouldn't communicate it as a command. Like it would be, hey, this is laid on my heart. And we would have those kind of discussions.
But with the other 2 in place, I guess what I'm getting at is that, there would have already been talks of potentially doing that way ahead, right? Where
time to pray
if I came home and said that to you, like, hey, that thing we talked about, like, yeah, I'm quitting my job. We're selling the house.
I feel like stop saying all of these things. I feel like you're trying to communicate with me something on the podcast. Like, guess what? I'm quitting my job. I'm doing okay, hold up.
I dare you to challenge me on the public forum. Like, no, I'm not saying any of that. Are you kidding me? No, but that's what I'm saying is like, that's the extreme, right? This is, I feel, is laying into more day-to-day things where it's not this extreme life change event where it is, it could be based around finances. It could be based around how to raise your kid.
Yeah. And this isn't saying always like, oh, okay, like, oh, you're making foolish decisions with finances, this and everything else. No. And just follow along. But you're right. When you're doing these other
that's
things.
What I'm saying. If you're leading right and your priority is right and what was it, 1 Corinthians 16, 13, 14 that we talked about on the last episode? If you're acting in those things and everything you're doing is in love, then the disagreements aren't that far apart, right? And it's not foolishness that's going on like, hey, babe, tomorrow I'm going to go buy that truck that I want. Like, that's stupid decision. Like, one, we're not going to go into debt to do that.
But Brad is always
But if you tell me right now that we want to go buy it, we're going to end early and we're going to get it.
If Stanley does want to sponsor us and give us a truck, like, that's fine. You can.
No, so it's I think it's sound decisions or sound, like there's issues in the sound decision making process that you're going through. And if there's a disagreement, I think I'm thinking of like a what if or a potential is like college. You know, like one of our kids wants to go to college. And it's like, all right, yep, you're going to go to college. Like, we're going to do this. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, I don't think he needs to go to college. Like, this is like, those aren't this, it's not this huge drastic fight that can happen. It's like, let's talk about this.
I'll bring it down like a little bit to just the practical day to day. Cause I think you mentioned something, and I think this is an area of contention a lot of times in marriages is we as women have a tendency to give, typically more grace to our kids in situations, right? And I'm just giving all the stereotypical things here, okay? Yeah. That men come in with a little bit more of an intensity. And I think as a lot of women, we like to, now mind you, if we want to get intense, we're fine with it, right? But it's when our husbands come in and we feel like the intensity is too much, we want to. And we're not talking about abuse, so calm down for all the people who getting all riled up right now.
Yeah. Hit me. Like, that's not what.
No, I'm talking about in a healthy environment of discipline and love and all those things that we want to almost get in the way of, like, well, you can't. And I say this because I have felt it.
Oh yeah, no, I
like
know.
Unequivocally, where I'm just like I remember you telling me one time where it was like, well, you can yell at the kids, but I can't yell at the kids, you know? And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because my yelling is nicer than your yelling. Yeah. You know, and in a way, it's true, right? As far as like the impact of what you say, whether it's fair or not, is greater on our kids, but also the realization that our kids have needed that, our boys have needed that at many times. And me stepping in front of that was also communicating things that I wasn't even meaning to communicate. And so I think that brings it down to like a very real level of thinking about how you can support his decisions, even if you disagree, even if you have to have a conversation later that says, hey, I feel like that was a little harsh. Can we talk about and come to a place where we can agree that this is the type of discipline we need to do? Because I think a lot of times I think we can go through this list and be like, oh, that one is irrelevant. I'm fine there, or I'm fine here. So making sure that you put it into everyday scenarios is important. Yeah. So, and I thought the other thing on here is like, he already doubts himself. Let your voice be the one that believes in him. And we talked about the insecurities already, but I think a lot of times we don't realize that as wives. Like, you already struggle with that.
Well, even in, you know, bigger decisions than just, I'm going to discipline the kid.
Right.
But it could be in like bigger decisions where as a husband, you're thinking of, you know, the financial ramifications, like all these other things are on top of you. Right. And so that you're even making this decision and you're like, I am thinking about all these other things. You don't even realize it. So just, you know, where you have this doubt of like, is this right? You know, is this going to be okay? Like, you know, and then just being able to step into it
is important too. And a lot of times we don't realize the weight on your shoulders, because I think it's easy to think when you guys have all of those compartments in your head that you're kind of keeping like locked up, it's easy for us to just feel like you guys have like nothing's bothering you. And I do think that's the other side of it too, is communicating like, yeah, like this is something I'm struggling with, or this is something I'm wrestling with. Like, this is an element that you need to get out of the box and actually have the conversation about.
Yeah, I think a lot of this has to be, that one for me, I feel like it's on a very micro level on quick decisions. I kind of do, because if you're doing the first two right, your decision-making process in this should be communication with your wife or your husband. Right?
A lot of these I do feel like kind of tie together,
they do.
But they're nuanced.
Yeah.
So then the next one, so where would you rank that one then?
I have 3, 4, 5, and 6 left.
Yes, I like how you had to go through each one.
What's it called again? I know we already just talked about, well, give me the...
Oh, like what you're actually ranking. Okay.
No. Give me the title of what we just talked about. Okay. Here's the problem. So I want to rank it this way, but then you're going to just
You're going to say 3, aren't you?
Yes.
Predictable. That's fine. 1, 2, 3. You good. Okay. Well, I want to say number 4, but that would just be like,
Oh, you're predicting my ranking, huh?
ranking that, you know. Okay. So appreciate him. That's what I'm saying. These things kind of like go together, but appreciate him whether or not his decisions work out. If he's a decent man, he's working hard, notice his work, acknowledge his sacrifices. They don't always work out, but he's trying. Succeed or fail, remind him you will support him. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean,
I like I feel like initially when I say these things, you're just like, yes.
I'm being
And seen. Like,
well,
no more.
And seen. I feel like I'm trying to I'm internalizing
You're processing.
it. Well, I'm trying to think of examples. That's kind of what I'm trying to think of. And so I'm having a hard time.
Well, I feel like you struggle with this a little bit because I feel like you feel. Here we go. Okay. No, because sometimes I think when we want appreciation or when appreciation is, it can feel like pride.
Yep.
Where you're like, I don't need you to appreciate me for what I should be doing. So I think that's why you struggle with like the wording.
Like I'm not
looking for you to pat
I'm not
me
gonna
on the
tell
back.
you I can read. It's like, well, you should be able to read. Like,
for those of you who don't know how to read, I'm sorry. Brad isn't trying to offend you.
I don't know what I was in our world, right?
You should know how to read.
In my little I'm not gonna I mean when Crew was little.
Someone out there is just like, wow, no one ever taught me. Like, this is like hurting every part of my soul. That's why I'm listening to you.
Oh gosh. 2 weeks on YouTube and we're done. You warned me about this too. You were worried about me getting on.
Yeah.
No. So as a man and
you should know how to read.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. No, as a man, there are things that you should do.
Yeah.
Period. And so I don't need I mean, let's even bust it down a little more, right? I believe, right, as a man, you should provide for your family. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you need a job, right? Because there are some guys that can't work, they can't, disabilities or whatever. They're not able to go
You're going to give the caveat.
No, they're not able to go work. But I'm saying is you should be providing for your family. Yeah. But I want you to hear that where it doesn't just mean
monetarily,
financially providing for your family. Yeah. There's a lot that goes behind that: love, support, sacrifice, all these things that go behind providing. That's providing, right? Mm-hmm. You should be protecting your family.
Absolutely.
And that's physical, spiritual. I mean, that runs the gambit on everything, right? Mm-hmm. You should be protecting. So there's things that you should be doing as a man, right? I mean, even I just recently, I'll go ahead and say this, why not? Oh, I just recently saw this short. I saw this short on YouTube, and you know how they go out to the streets and they're like, hey, what do you think about this? And then they kind of throw this out there. And this guy goes up to, 2 random, I don't know, college girls or something like that, some women. And he goes, hey, does it make you less of a man? In your eyes, does it make a man less of a man if he can't change a tire? Right. Mm-hmm. And then do it. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. A man should know how to change a tire. I agree with that. Right. You don't have to be the best tire changer, but you should know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I agree with that. Then he goes, well, does it make you less of a woman if you don't know how to cook? And then threw it back at him, and of course they just stopped, and then the thing had all the little numbers, and then it was making a joke, right? I know not everyone knows how to cook. That's not the point, but there are things that are understood if you're a man that you should do. So for me, I don't feel like I need you to.
Let me break it down for you again to day to day. Okay.
Okay.
Like Brad's scared a little bit right now. He's okay, let's do this. No, because I think this is so. I feel like if I bring this down to real simple basic things. So I think where women struggle to show appreciation is in day-to-day tasks. So like, let's say you come home or like you feel like you do something out of the ordinary, right? Like out of the ordinary in your day. Like you're like, oh, you know what? The kitchen needs to be cleaned up. Like I'm going to load the dishwasher, right? And you're hoping that, you know, in some way, shape, or form, there might be some level of acknowledgement. Brad's laughing right now because he did the dishwasher this morning.
So I'm like,
boo. Okay,
what we got?
Payback later. No, okay. Let me finish it out.
Okay.
So, I think where women withhold giving appreciation is when they have an expectation that you should just do the things. Even around the home and not look for any kind of accolades. So it's like, okay, well, like, hey, baby, did you see I loaded the dishwasher? And they're like, yeah, because you were grown up when you should load a dishwasher. Like that's how, and I'm not saying like that doesn't happen in our home. I'm just saying like this plays out where
I understand,
someone stops doing something because they're like, man, I do this stuff. It's either not right, or you never appreciate when I do it. So I stop doing it. And a woman's like, well, you should just do it. And I shouldn't have to praise you. And when I load the dishwasher, you never tell me, good job for loading the dishwasher. And I think that's where.
I think that there's a fine line with that, right? Because I feel like, so then guys could take that the other way and go, well, I'm doing all this stuff around the house when I get home from a long day of work, when in reality, I should just be sitting on the couch waiting for dinner. You know, like that's that mentality.
Two people working outside the home.
And so to me, it's more of like, there's a fine line in that where I'm not saying, I don't know, for me, this is for me, a me list, right?
Yes.
I don't need, you did tell me like, oh, thank you for unloading the dishwasher. I don't need that though.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's part of providing for this family.
Yeah.
So I see the need and you fill it. Right. And whatever that is. Now there's some things I absolutely don't want to do and I will do it, but I don't like doing laundry.
Yeah.
I don't like the laundry. It's ridiculous. Like there's
literally, this is Brad. Like, whose shirt is this?
Yeah. I don't know. And then there's like 300 socks and I'm like, I don't even know. And they don't match.
Why can't I find my underwear?
Yeah. This is real. Like, I don't like laundry. So I would rather not do that. But if I had to, I'm going to do it. But that's not a need that I see like, let me jump on the laundry. But when I come home and I see things, and I know we've talked about this, like, I can't remember what episode, but I know the way I'm wired is like, there's things I see and they're important at that point. And then as soon as I turn my head, I totally forget that thing because it wasn't that important to me. Yeah. So I try to like,
where
dive
I'm
like
17,000 things important to me.
Yeah.
I can pull them out at any different time.
No, so I try to dive in on that. But if the kitchen's a mess, like I want to help.
Yeah.
And it's I want to.
Yeah.
Right. Even if I don't feel like it.
Important is like, just to kind of bring it full circle, is if you see something in your spouse, both of you, I think it matters that you can say, thanks for helping. Thanks for doing that.
Oh no, it's
like,
huge.
It's just it's not even that you necessarily, like, this might be your 6 or whatever in your ranking.
I need the other 2 before I
know, my love. But either way, I think it's one of those things, like, it's important because if it's completely lacking on both sides, it really does become an area that is
absolutely
an opportunity that can just wreak havoc. And so I think it's just important, like, for some reason, we find it much easier to verbalize any negative thing that we see, and we hold back on the things that are positive. And
that's the other thing on this. Like if your husband doesn't load the dishwasher and he loads it and you go over there and you're like, hey, you know, the bowls don't go on this shelf, they go on this shelf, and you're doing this, and the utensils should be this way, not that way, you know, all this stuff.
Right.
Then how many more times is he going to do it? Because to him, it's like it goes in there and it gets washed.
Yeah.
Is there a more right way to load it? Probably.
A more right way.
Probably. There's probably 100 right ways to load it, right? But
every woman right now watching is like, no, there's one right way.
No, exactly. I know that. I know. That's why I'm saying. So, but how many more times is he going to get that before he goes, you know what?
I'm not going to help.
You load it.
Yeah.
because I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, if you want help, you have to then let go of control of certain things.
And then on the flip side of that, as a husband, like you should be wanting to do what she wants, right?
That's right.
So, try to learn it. But anyway, so what was that one called?
Appreciate him.
Appreciate. Okay. And then what's the other two? I got two more, right? Just give me the titles of the other two.
Yes, my love. Praise his accomplishments.
Yep.
Have his back and cheer in his corner.
Okay.
Which those sound similar, but the definition.
1, 2, 3. I had 4, 5, 6 left. This.
Brad doing
5.
math. 5. All right.
My husband doing math.
He can read though, guys. Just so you know. Okay. So, praise his accomplishments, which just sounds very similar to appreciate him, but it just says men focus on the win column. They just do. Life is full of risk and some things don't work out. Encourage him through the losses and celebrate the wins. I think we did actually cover a lot of this when it comes to what we talked about in the last point, but I think it is a big deal. Just like we always talk about, like celebrate the wins. There's so many things that we like just focus on if it's like a loss, and we're like, no, but it's good. Celebrate the wins.
Yeah. Man, what was the last one again? Before I talk
Have his back and cheer in his corner.
Okay, I think this one's really low for me. And it's not because I don't appreciate, like, you coming alongside me, and helping me, whatever it said, like
The motions.
with the winning, with the wins, like celebrating the wins. And I think that's huge, but these last two are really hard for me because I'm wired in such a way that I don't feel like I need them. I'm not saying I don't need them. Like, so whatever psychiatrist is out there listening right now,
they're like, that's clearly what you need.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it is, but I really don't I feel the way that, I don't know if it's the way I've grown up or just how I'm wired. I don't like even so, we talked about this as being a potential topic for an episode, but even this aspect of inherently what I do for a living, right? We don't get praise for, right? We don't expect it. We don't want it. Like the intentions behind it aren't anything to that level at all. So even when we get outside, like, praise, it's weird for us. Internal, we're all celebrating our wins. We're all talking about it internally, right? Because we're enjoying like the victory, right? So it's like, hey man, that was awesome, whatever, right? But we're not expecting someone higher up or someone from outside going in and coming like, hey man, that was great, and like patting our backs or like, doing that. I'm not saying that's bad.
But maybe that's the whole thing is it's just don't do things for the expectation of this, do that because like you mentioned, like servant leadership, like do it because of that. But this as a wife, these are good things for you as a wife to know you're still showing love by doing these things.
Absolutely. And you do these things for me. And I love them. I love it all. Because it shows it shows how you love me.
Yeah.
But it's not something that if you didn't do it, I'm not going to be like up at night going like, what?
There's not many things that keep you up at night.
There are things that keep me up at night.
Is there?
It's very short list.
Besides a sore stomach, like other than that.
Yeah. It's a very short list.
Women are like, a million things are on my mind all night long and I'm awake the whole night. And Brad's just asleep. But anyways, this is the last one. So what do you rank that one then? Like, is that your 6?
Well, yes.
Okay. So last one.
I'll do 6.
Have his back and cheer in his corner. The world will beat him down. The world will beat him down daily. But you are his girl worth fighting for. Remind him of that by cheering him on.
Yeah.
He may be out fighting for the greater good, but you are the greatest good he's ever going to get.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that's it, folks.
No, that's great. I mean, I want you to support me,
Yeah.
you know?
But I think this element of, I'm trying to remember the name of the book, but that element of knowing that you're the girl worth fighting for, right? And like making it where it's like, you're not the girl. I'm saying, I'm just saying, even for a wife to know like that is still like, you want to maintain that. Like you are fighting for my heart.
Yeah.
And at the same time that I want to support you in that, and knowing that like, yes, we're supposed to be each other's good. Like we want to be within God's design for marriage. And it's important to remember, I think so many times that, especially in hurting marriages where people are wondering all the time, like, well, what's real, what's not real, and knowing like that it is like you're God's gift to each other, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I want you in my corner. I want you to cheer me on. I like that.
It was like the review in the beginning.
Yeah, you're like you are my hype man.
I'm a woman, but
well, it's a title, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's good. Like you should have that in your spouse.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like you gave the example, like it doesn't matter how many times that we've gone to speak somewhere, I have the same, like, not reservations, but that same apprehension going up there, and to have you there, like, you got this, like, whatever. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, and it's also, I unequivocally believe it.
Yeah. No,
when I tell you that you're anointed, I believe that. Yeah. So we definitely would want you guys to actually, the challenge for this week is to start this plan with your spouse. And for those of you that want to DM me or message or put a comment in here like, well, that's great, but he's not going to start this plan with me. And that's great, but she's not going to start this plan with me. Just do it yourself.
Yeah. You'll learn a lot.
I think you just have to get to that place of, even if your spouse is not in the same place as you and you're fighting on your own or you're trying to change on your own, all you can do is own you. And so I think just recognizing that you can do what you can do and releasing the rest and allowing God to transform what he needs to do in you and really beginning to pray for your spouse. You can offer this as an opportunity for your spouse to do with you, but forcing it is ineffective. And so that would be our encouragement. But if you can, if your spouse is willing, then that would be our challenge for this week is to start this. I will link it so that you guys have the option just to go right there. All right. See you next week.